Eric Stakey.
Yes.
You are a senior at Okemos High School?
Yes, I am.
Correct. What do you think about drunk driving?
I think it's a pretty bad thing to do, but I think it's hard for kids because if you're drunk, you don't think it's that bad of an idea at the time.
Do you remember the instance 2 years ago when 3 Holt kids died in a drunk driving accident?
Yes.
And how do you believe that affected the community?
I didn't think it had that big of an effect here at Okemos, but I know a few people from Holt, and it was very hard for a while at their school. A lot of kids were going through a lot of grief after it.
Do you think drunk driving affects Okemos students?
I think it does. Yes.
Now, when do you consider someone under the influence enough that they won't be able to drive, even adults?
I mean, I think if you drink at all, you shouldn't be driving.
Are you aware of the legal drinking limit?
The legal drinking limit is 0.08.
Every year, car crashes are the leading cause of death for teens. About 1/3 of those are alcohol related. Teen alcohol use kills about 6,000 people each year, more than all illegal drugs combined. 50 to 75% of convicted drunk drivers continue to drive on a suspended license. On average, 1 in 3 people will be involved in a drunk driving crash in their lifetime. Drunk driving costs each adult in this country almost $500 a year. An average drunk driver has driven drunk 80 times before his first arrest. Almost every 90 seconds, a person is injured in a drunk driving crash. In 2010, 10,228 people died in drunk driving crashes, one every 52 minutes.
One of the Dallas Cowboys was just driving a car, drinking and driving, and killed one of his teammates, and now both of their lives are destroyed. The team's hurt. There are some pretty bad ramifications.
So, Eric, do you think that if we were to lower the legal drinking age to 18, that would have a positive effect on the number of drunk driving accidents?
No, I do not. I think kids would be more inclined to drink and drive if they're over 18, because now at least there's the threat of if they get caught, like let's say they're 19 and they're drinking, if they got caught, they'd still get an MIP, but if the drinking age was lowered, they just drive.
So do you think if a person's first experience drinking was with their parents and in a safe environment, that it would possibly have positive effects on their later experience drinking?
I think that it would teach them to be much more responsible with their drinking. I don't think it would have to be hidden or done in such large amounts like a lot of kids do now.
So do you think that if we were to keep the legal drinking age where it is, 21, and if, say you're above the age of 21 and you get caught drinking and driving, that the consequences should be greater?
I don't know about the first time offenders for the consequences being greater, but I think it should, if it's your second or third offense, I think the consequences should be greater.
Are you aware of an interlock system?
I'm not.
It is where they have a breathalyzer that you're required to blow into to start your car, and that's usually put in second to third time offenders' vehicles after their second or third time drunk driving offense. Do you think that would be a good system to implement in maybe a first time offender's car?
Yes, I think it would definitely prevent those second or third instances from occurring.
And do you think that that minimum jail sentences should be heightened so that way if you are caught drunk driving even one time, you have to at least serve a 24-hour or more sentence in jail to realize kind of the consequences? Do you think that would help?
Yes, I think it would make it a lot more of a risk for people to do it, so it would deter a lot of people.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Eric.
You're very welcome.
Many activities have ages of initiation. A person must wait until age 16 to start driving, age 18 to marry without parental consent, age 35 to become president, and so on. The majority of drinking starts at an early age, earlier than the government-approved age of initiation, 21. As a result, these kids are afraid to be seen participating in the activity, but not necessarily to participate in it. They drink with friends behind closed doors and without supervision of experienced adults. To make parent-instated curfews, drunk teenagers get behind the wheel. Our first solution would be to lower the drinking age to 18. Many adults agree this would encourage the supervision of kids by experienced adults and a safer environment in which to drink. There would be someone to prevent kids from getting behind the wheel of a car and endangering the lives of others, and ideally reduce the amount and consequences of underage binge drinking. Motor vehicle accidents are the #1 cause of death for teenagers. 1/3 of those are alcohol related. The part of this equation kids are missing is experience. With adult supervision and a safe environment in which to drink, that statistic can change. Thought process behind this solution was that if we reduce the drinking age, children's first experience drinking will be with their parents in a safer environment rather than at college or with their friends in a situation where they're encouraged to binge drink and then go home afterwards. Do you think that lowering the drinking age so that children's first experience drinking is with their parents or in a safe environment, do you think that is a valid solution to this issue?
It's certainly not a solution. But with that being said, I don't think there's any solution. I don't think, as long as you have vehicles that can be driving, as long as you have machinery that can be operated, as long as you have people living their lives and you have alcohol they can put into their systems that's going to impede their ability to act normally, you are going to have problems of some sort. And some of those problems are going to seem minor, and some of those problems are going to be catastrophic. Education is important, and education should start in the home. Parents see their children more often than anyone else. They presumably have gained some sort of respect from their children that they should listen to them to a higher degree than other people, and that education at the home is incredibly important.
Our second solution to reduce the amount of young drunk drivers revolves around harsher punishments for first-time offenders. Common penalties for first-time drunk drivers include license restrictions, fines, drunk drivers education classes, community service, or probation. Rarely, first-time offenders will be required to install ignition interlock devices into their car, requiring a breath test for car ignition. The first part of this solution is to require all those convicted of drunk driving to have an interlock device installed to continue driving. A study by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety found that mandatory installation of interlock devices reduced repeat offenses by 12%. The second part of the solution is for those caught drunk driving to listen to victim impact panels of people affected by drunk drivers. Travis Reese of Mothers Against Drunk Driving suggested victim impact panels for those convicted so they can see firsthand the ramifications that continuing to drive impaired could cause. Teens feel that driving gives them freedom from their parents. Giving longer license suspensions is also an effective way to deter drunk driving in teens.
The law is trying to find ways to recognize that the consequences from drinking and driving can be some of the worst consequences of anything any of us deal with in our lifetimes, but they're very few and far between. So how do you really create a law that properly incentivizes people not to drink and drive? It's not an easy situation. But what they do, they take away your license so you can't drive. Then you can't earn a living. From kids' standpoint, you have to put it on your college applications. You can be on probation that you have to go take urinalysis tests over and over and over again to make sure that you don't continue in drinking and driving, or drinking and not driving. There's a lot of discretion for the judges.
Well, interlock systems are systems that you would need to blow into in order to start your vehicle, and these can go into mostly second and third offenders. If they're caught drinking and driving, they will be implemented in their cars, but so in some cases they're trying to get it now instated in first-time offenders' cars. Do you think that systems like these and like your example of the yellow license plates, do you think these cut down on drunk driving instances?
Certainly, if it's harder for that person to drive, there's probably less of an instance of that individual drinking and driving.